What is up, folks? What is up? Yeah, like I was saying, I'm doing a little YouTube vertical streaming test today. So I was like, shoot, I could jump on here and do a quick little video reacting to a Wi-Files video that came out like earlier in the week. So that's why I am here today. Let me straighten up my hat. There we go. But yeah. So yeah, trying this out. Hopefully it works. If anybody is out there checking this out, please drop a comment. Let me know what you think. From what I see, everything looks pretty good. At least looking at the stream I got going on my phone. So yeah, we're gonna be on today, probably about an hour or so, just breaking down this Wi-Files video, which seems to be about a weather conspiracy and how people are being able to now weaponize the weather. So that's been something that I've read about before. I heard a lot of things about other countries overseas that have been able to use this and have been able to change the climate in their areas, like Dubai. Dubai can request rain, I guess. They can do certain things to make it rain. So I think that's honestly pretty cool. And it has awesome uses like that, but it can also have some really bad uses too, where you have a situation where somebody could weaponize the weather and make the weather bad in a certain area, or create, like maybe some sort of natural disasters in that area. Yeah, so it'll be fun to watch this video. The Wi-Files are like one of my favorite channels. I love watching and learning from them. I've always enjoyed watching it. So yeah, today we're going to be covering this one. We got a bunch of other Wi-Files video reactions on our channel. So please check that out. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment. And if you enjoy this, hang out with me and we'll watch this together. So yeah, let me switch my screens up and we will get this started. All right, change that, got that in full screen, turn this desktop audio on, and I think we are a go.
A blinding flash lit the Siberian sky. The explosion was 100 times more powerful than Hiroshima. It flattened 80 million trees across 830 square miles. No crater appeared. No meteor fragments were found. Scientists struggled for decades to explain what happened at Tunguska. Thousands of miles away, Nikola Tesla smiled in his Wardenclyffe Tower lab. His Tesla ray had worked perfectly. When Tesla died in 1943, government agents seized his research. Decades later, HAARP appeared in Alaska, 180 antennas beaming energy into the ionosphere. The military calls it research, but declassified documents tell a different story. What would have been Tesla's greatest gift to the world became the world's most powerful weapon.
Now, we all know the tragic events that surrounded Tesla passing away, or at least under mysterious circumstances. So I'm sure they're going to delve into that a little bit on this video, but I am not exactly familiar with all of his research and the different things that he did as far as the weather is concerned. So yeah, this is a video that has definitely gained my interest already. If you are watching, hello, my name is JD. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop comments, man. As you can see, I show the comments on the stream. So if you have a comment that you'd like to make about this show, go ahead and comment and we can talk about it and watch this together.
My plane. There are many player warfare. Strategy crucial. Oh, don't play fair. He lit phosphorescent
Fast
tubes
forward through this ad a little bit, so there we go.
The 190-foot tower on Long Island wasn't for radio signals. It was for wireless energy transmission across the planet. And this wasn't theoretical. Tesla demonstrated wireless power at the 1893 World's Fair. He lit phosphorescent tubes without wires. The crowd was amazed. Tesla believed Earth could conduct electricity like a circuit.
Now, I've heard that that is like one of the final frontiers, in that at a certain point, we will not have to have our homes wired in the sense that they are now. They'll be wired sort of just, you can drain the energy through the atmosphere, just through the air. It'll be all around us. So like charging your phone will be a thing of the past, because as soon as you get home, your phone will automatically be charged. I'm sure at least initially they're going to do it so that it's like almost local, like home by home. But eventually I could imagine that you'd be able to walk outside, walk anywhere, and your electronics would automatically be charged. Even if you think about how that extrapolates into automobiles and having an electric car. And if you're just able to drive around and have endless renewable clean energy, that can make a big difference. And that can also draw the ire of a lot of people who operate and have built their billions and trillions and millions of dollars on fossil fuels. So you can see why Tesla became a very marked man after the discoveries that he was able to make.
The secret was the ionosphere, an electrically charged atmospheric layer starting 50 miles up. By pumping electromagnetic energy into this layer, he could create a planet-wide resonance system.
A planet-wide resonance
I love Hecklefish. Just gotta say that. Just gotta say it. Love Hecklefish.
system? Oy vey. Hello, tech support? Yeah, my human is speaking nerd again. I need a translation.
Well, think of it like pushing a child on a swing.
Guppy.
Think of it like pushing a guppy on a swing. Small pushes timed right create large sustained motion. Tesla wanted to push the ionosphere at a frequency matching the Earth's resonance. This would create stable waves circling the planet. Earth resonates at 7.83 hertz, and this was proven in 1954. Tesla suspected this, but wasn't certain. He needed financing to continue. JP Morgan initially funded the project, but withdrew when he realized Tesla wanted to
everybody knows
provide
that
free
name.
electricity worldwide. Morgan asked, if anyone can draw on the power, where do we put the meter? Without Morgan's support, Tesla was ruined. In the 1930s, Tesla announced Teleforce. The press called it a death ray. Tesla said it can generate an invisible wall of energy capable of destroying aircraft and armies from hundreds of miles away.
Wow.
We have a whole episode on Tesla's death ray and Wardenclyffe Tower if you want to learn more.
Death ray link down in your love luggage.
I am definitely going to have to check that one out after I watch this video, because that sounds super interesting. And I'm assuming that that's how they are thinking about being able to use that type of weapon against other countries, or at least to defend yourself against other countries. So super interesting stuff.
When Tesla died in 1943, the US government responded fast. His body was still warm as his entire legacy was packed into government crates. Tesla's dream died with him, but his research lived on, in the hands of men who saw not free energy, but unlimited power. Tesla's technical documents were sent to an MIT professor for review. That professor was Dr. John Trump, the future president's uncle.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Trump, also a national defense researcher.
Wow, what a correlation right there. Interesting. Interesting. So there is a very large amount of old money involved in this situation. So, I was not expecting that connection to be made.
Research committee member said Tesla's research contained nothing valuable. That wasn't true.
Oh, look. Make America lie again.
Hecklefish
The
said it, not
military
me.
quietly continued
Not
Tesla's
me.
work. Some research went to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base under Project Nick. This was a top-secret operation launched in 1945 to study Tesla's particle beam weapon. Project Nick's details remain classified. The project was officially abandoned, but particle beam research continued. DARPA launched Project Seesaw in 1958. Like Project Nick, Seesaw was heavily funded for years, and like Project Nick, Seesaw was quietly shut down. During this time, Tesla's particle beam technology disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to it. Then years later,
Nobody knows what happened to it. So it's just that the technology all of a sudden just disappears and then you don't have it anymore. Kind of reminds me of the way they talk about how the reason that we haven't been able to go back to the surface of the moon is because we lost the technology that allowed us to escape the Van Allen belt. If you don't know what the Van Allen belt is a layer of radiation that is between the Earth and the moon. And supposedly no one has been able to penetrate that outside of the team that was able to land on the moon. And to think that they had this technology and then all of a sudden that technology is now gone and can't be replicated, can't be reproduced. Like, technology does not work that way. Things do not go backwards. There's usually only progress forward as far as scientific and engineering advances. So I can't imagine that if you were able to do it once, there's nobody else around that's able to reproduce that. That doesn't make sense. So it's interesting to see on here that you had some technology that disappeared for a while. How does technology disappear?
DARPA and the US Air Force built an expensive secret facility in Alaska. The technology there would look familiar to Tesla historians. The military claims the facility is only for research, but that's not what the patents say. In 1987, physicist Bernard Eastland filed a patent titled Method and Apparatus for Altering a Region in the Earth's Atmosphere, Ionosphere, and/or Magnetosphere. The patent described a facility that could heat specific ionosphere portions using radio waves. Eastland wasn't working alone. Arco Technologies funded his research. Arco owned vast natural gas reserves in Alaska's North Slope, but had no buyers. They saw Eastland's invention as a way to convert their gas into something valuable, power. And Eastland's technology needed lots of power.
Arco originally approached me in 1984 to find a use for the natural gas on the North Slope of Alaska, which they could not sell. To give you a feel for how much gas they asked me to find an application for, it was enough gas to produce all the electricity in the United States for a full year.
Wow.
The technology is straightforward. A powerful radio signal is transmitted into the ionosphere targeting a specific region. This energy excites charged particles, heating them and altering their properties. The heated region acts like an optical lens, but instead of bending light, it bends and redirects radio waves. This includes radar signals and natural currents in Earth's upper atmosphere. This is like inserting a resistor into a global electrical circuit. The lens could create effects thousands of miles away from the transmission site. Within a year of Eastland's patent filing, Arco was awarded a contract to build a similar facility in Alaska. When locals read about it in the March 1988 Omni magazine, they grew concerned. The military insisted they were building a research facility, nothing more.
Do not believe the government.
They didn't. They looked up Eastland's patent and the language was crystal clear.
Applications discussed in the
Military
patents
use.
included destroying missiles. Communications control and disruption were included. There were
Now I know you've heard of technologies likely about like the what do they call it, the Iron Dome, and that's just something that's ground based that's able to take out surface to air missiles that are, you know, heading for whatever area that you're trying to cover. But imagine if you had something that could literally that's invisible and just would protect your country or whatever assets you want to protect indefinitely, and would have enough energy to run forever. That would make you pretty untouchable, wouldn't it?
some other ideas both to possibly modify weather and finally to lift a portion of the upper atmosphere further out into space, where hopefully it would be able to deflect missile trajectories.
Those are Eastland's own
controlling
words.
weather? Wow.
This wasn't an invention for ionospheric research. As HARP rose in the Alaskan wilderness, the military's intentions were obvious. They weren't just studying the sky, they were weaponizing it.
Interesting.
There are
Interesting.
several high-powered radio antennas around the world, but in relation to HARP, they're like a child's cap gun compared to a 50-millimeter cannon.
When locals discovered what DARPA and the Air Force were building in Alaska, they demanded answers. The military admitted to building antennas that could affect the atmosphere, but insisted they use technology different than Eastland's patents.
Hang on. Let me see if I follow.
Go ahead.
Tesla dies. The government steals his plans for a death ray machine. They lose the plans. Then, by some miracle, they find a guy who patents a bunch of stuff based on Tesla's death ray machine. So they give him money to build this HARP thing, but they're not using his stuff. They're using some other stuff, and it's all fine. Nothing to see here. Does that about sum it up? Bullshit.
Eastland later confirmed the military's interest in his work. Before his death in 2007, he said, "HARP is the perfect first step toward a plan like mine. There are powerful people involved. The military never sleeps."
When you look at the other patents built upon the work of Eastland, it becomes clear how the military intends to use a HARP transmitter. It could give them a tool to replace the electromagnetic pulse effect of some atmospheric thermonuclear devices still considered an option by some planners. It can replace the huge, extremely low-frequency submarine communication system. It could replace the over-the-horizon radar system once planned for the current location of HARP with a much more accurate system.
The technical similarity.
So yeah, that really sounds like the ultimate weapon. You can pretty much shut down anything that you want to, and I'm assuming that they had the technology in order to sort of centralize its location or make it be able to target a certain location. So yeah, if you have a pretty much an infinite reach above and below and can target all around, and it's like the power or an EMP times 1,000, that makes you as a country, as a region, as a group untouchable. Nobody can get close enough to you to do damage. So that allows you, and assuming that other people do not have this technology, that allows you to shut down anything coming in, and then you could send it whatever you want back out, and they'd not be able to retaliate. I can totally understand why this was such a huge thing that that the government wanted to control.
Similarities between HARP and Eastland's patents are obvious to engineers. By 1993, DARPA and the Air Force had built a machine that could turn weather into a weapon, and they were excited to show off their new toy.
People have talked about that they have been able to generate hurricanes and stuff previously. Some people wondered if Hurricane Katrina had been sort of created or at least amplified by certain governmental agencies. I don't know personally that type of stuff is realistic. But there definitely were a lot of conspiracy theories during that time that was something that was going on. And yeah, if you can theoretically, or not even theoretically, it's been proven that countries have been able to clean their air by having it rain more. Like I said, we talked about Dubai. I believe China, when they hosted the last Olympics, caused it to rain there a ton before the games actually started in order to help clean up the air there. So we know that this is possible. So you just have to wonder and want to understand and find out how it's been weaponized. And I'm hoping that they'll get into some of that on here.
The statement that there is no association between the ionosphere and surface weather is an outright lie. We can artificially influence the Earth's aurora with a relatively small amount of energy, and we know that outbursts of the northern lights do change weather patterns. There is indeed mounting evidence that upper atmospheric events affect lower atmospheric weather and vice versa.
In 1996, the U.S. Air Force published Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025. This wasn't science fiction. It was a military assessment of weather modification as a combat tool.
We are going to dive into that stuff. That's
The paper
interesting.
stated weather modification will become part of domestic and international security and could be done unilaterally. It could have offensive and defensive applications and even be used for deterrence purposes. Weather warfare isn't new. During Vietnam, the U.S. conducted Operation Popeye. Cloud seeding to extend monsoon season over enemy supply
Cloud
routes.
seeding, that's
They
what it's
called it
called.
making mud, not war.
The military and their cute operation names. It's like naming your guillotine Mr. Snippy.
For years, the idea of creating rain with electricity was a conspiracy theory.
But then,
Dubai is making it
Talked
rain
about this earlier.
in a sweltering desert by zapping clouds with electricity using drones.
Fascinating, isn't it?
Yep.
Critics argue HAARP's power is too low to affect global weather. A lightning bolt contains 1 billion watts. A hurricane releases energy equal to thousands of nuclear bombs. How could HAARP compete? Well, the answer is chaos theory. Weather is a chaotic system. In chaotic systems, small changes trigger larger events. The classic example is the butterfly effect.
Ashton Kutcher.
We're not playing pub trivia.
Sorry, go ahead.
HAARP's designers understood chaos theory. They didn't need to match nature's power, they just needed to know where to apply the pressure. A butterfly's wings can start a tornado, and HAARP was the most powerful butterfly ever created.
Interesting. Very interesting.
What they're not paying any attention to is what's happening to the ionosphere. If they pick the right frequency to push that plume out into space, that energy may discharge back out of the ionosphere, back down the radio beam, and strike the Earth. And it would be about 100 times the energy released out of a thunderbolt.
Wow. So weaponizing lightning.
Picking up now.
I know, and I mean, this is, it's story time with JD real quick, but there was one time where I was the passenger in a car, and we were driving down, I'm pretty sure it was I-80 at the time, and the road was clear on both sides, but it was definitely a thunderstorm. It hadn't like started yet, but you could definitely see the lightning in the distance, and it just started trickling rain. So it's not like it was a heavy rainstorm or anything like that. But I remember probably about maybe about 50 yards in front of me, or in front of us in the car, I saw lightning strike the ground. And I remember the two things that I remember about it specifically was that it was orange in color, definitely not white like you see lightning from far away. It looks white, but this was definitely orange in color. And it hit the ground, like the pavement in front of us. And I saw like little balls of energy like bouncing off the ground. And like I vividly see this. Like if I close my eyes, I can see it right now. And that was a cool experience. I'm glad that I was far enough away that it didn't affect us or anything like that. But yeah, it was just crazy to see lightning, sort of that far up close, and then the energy ball sort of bouncing on the ground from it. So yeah, you can only imagine how powerful something that's 100 more times the strength of that being able to cause beyond destructive damage, just incredible damage to whatever is in its way, and an amazing power for whatever country or whatever group wields it.
And it would be about 100 times the energy released out of a thunderbolt.
Meteorologist Edward N. Lorenz presented this concept in 1972, and his point was something as small as a butterfly could set off a series of events that eventually lead to a tornado. History is full of butterfly effects. Hitler wanted to be an artist, but he was rejected by the art school in Vienna.
Butterfly effects are something that they've covered on this channel multiple times before, and one of the things that I really enjoy watching and learning about. So yeah, I'm gonna for sure react to one of their butterfly video or butterfly effect videos at some point in the future.
He chose a different path. On August 9th, 1945, the city of Kokura was supposed to be hit with an atomic bomb, but it was too cloudy to find the target, so Nagasaki was chosen instead.
It's crazy.
HAARP doesn't need to match nature's power. It needs a tiny, precise nudge at the right place and time to trigger catastrophe. By 1977, weather manipulation was such a concern that the UN banned it through the Environmental Modification Convention.
Did the United States military listen to the UN?
No.
Uh-huh.
The UN specifically addressed HAARP in 1999, again calling for a ban on technologies that can alter the environment for military purposes.
Did the United States military listen to the UN this time?
No.
Uh-huh.
The UN issued multiple resolutions calling for transparency, oversight, and international monitoring of facilities like HAARP.
Did the United States military, oh, never mind.
In 2002, Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed concern about geophysical weapons that could alter the weather. He was talking about HAARP. Then Russia and China built their own ionospheric heaters. They saw the military value. An arms race nobody...
I wonder how much of this we've seen already. And there's always certain unexplainable events that happen on the planet. Sometimes in war, sometimes just, you know, what people would assume are naturally occurring events. You have to wonder if they are created events. And that would make you really, really, really go down the rabbit hole of wondering exactly how much power people are able to wield. I really hope that they get into some of that level of like, oh, this could have been that type of situation later on in the video, but we'll see. I'm enjoying this one so far. If you're enjoying it too, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and let me know what you think about the video too.
Nobody talks about is happening above our heads right now. But HAARP had another ability more powerful than changing weather. By pulsing radio waves at specific frequencies, HAARP created low-frequency waves that penetrate deep into the Earth and oceans.
What's most scary and exciting about HAARP is the potential of its application. For example, ELF waves generated by the array could be used for a variety of military applications, including finding underground bases, tunnels, even caves. The government is interested in HAARP technology because it's a new frontier, a new way to solve an old
radar.
problem.
These waves oscillate
Sonar.
between 1 and 100 hertz, precisely within natural atmospheric resonance. Then scientists wondered, what would happen if those energy waves were directed not at the atmosphere, but at fault lines deep within the Earth?
Oh man, creating earthquakes? Wow.
When scientists examine earthquakes, they focus on two factors: tectonic stress and resonant frequency. Every object vibrates at a natural frequency. Metal, rock, your body. Exposing an object to its natural frequency amplifies vibrations.
A lot of times they talk about how our bodies are really just made up of different cells vibrating at different frequencies, and that if you can figure out how to control those vibrations, you can cause great harm to a person or great good. So they talk about like curing cancer would just be as simple as figuring out what vibration level is able to, what a cancer cell is vibrating at, and being able to figure out what level you need to direct a vibration at those cells that will kill that portion of the cell, or at least those cancerous cells, but not do harm to the rest of the good cells. So yeah, that's definitely one of the final frontiers in medicine. And if they're able to figure out something like that, you can theoretically cure any disease, because we all are just made up of different different resonations of vibration. So, man, yeah, that was, I love stuff like this. I love it. Love it.
And sometimes vibrations grow so strong they damage the object, like sound shattering a glass.
See, that's what you don't want.
This
to
is
have
called
happen.
resonant frequency-induced material failure. It works on large objects too. A famous example is the collapse of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in 1940.
Look at
Wind
that,
hitting the
that's
bridge at its resonant frequency created vibrations that tore it apart. The Earth's tectonic plates also have a resonant frequency. Fault lines are cracks in the Earth's crust that build up enormous tension as they move against each other. The right trigger can release this tension.
Inside.
In 1983, I did radiotomography with 30 watts, looking for oil in the ground. I found 26 oil wells over a 9-state area, and 100% of the time was accurate with just 30 watts of power beaming straight into solid rock. HARP, or the
30 watts of power, just to let people know about what 30 watts of power is. That's about what your a little stronger than your average cell phone charger. My computer, my graphics card in my computer, I have it tuned down so that it runs at 30 watts. Like, that is a minuscule amount of energy to be able to find something as valuable as oil reserves in the ground. So you can know how this guy made his billions.
High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project uses 2 billion watts beamed straight into the ionosphere for experiments. Now, that's profoundly dangerous.
On January 2nd, 2020, a devastating 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck Haiti, killing over 200,000 people. What made this earthquake suspicious was its location. It occurred along a fault system.
Now, see, this is where I like when we start showing how these how this is like real world type stuff. Like, this is suspicious. This is where the conspiracy theory stuff comes in, and why Hecklefish has his tinfoil over his bowl. He need to get it on his head, because this is the part that I like of these videos, when you start getting into like the real legit like situations where maybe that was something that wasn't exactly what we thought it was.
System that behaved differently than geologists had predicted. And several monitoring stations recorded unusual heating patterns and electromagnetic anomalies in the ionosphere over Haiti. HARP was active during this period. Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez accused the United States of causing the earthquake using tectonic weapons.
Spanish newspaper ABC quotes Chavez as saying that the U.S. Navy launched a weapon capable of inducing a powerful earthquake off the shore of Haiti.
And this theory was
But what was the reason for it? I hope they talk about that too. Like, what was the reason that the U.S. was doing that, other than to just test it and just to see what happens? I know that Haiti is one of the poorest and most impoverished countries in, definitely in this region of the world. So I would imagine that's maybe why they targeted that area. But man, you hate to think that they had to run some sort of test like that caused 200,000 people to die in an area that is already run down and and impoverished. So yeah, that's horrible. That's horrible. And like Hugo Chavez said, playing God, that's not something that we should be able to do.
dismissed until researchers examined the technical possibility. Similar patterns appeared with other seismic events. The 2008 Sichuan earthquake killed nearly 90,000 people. Some researchers saw correlations between this disaster and HARP operations.
Maybe some of this is just naturally occurring.
The 2011 earthquake that triggered the Fukushima disaster also coincided with ionospheric anomalies detected by multiple stations. These correlations concern China enough that in 2018, they launched the China Seismo-Electromagnetic Satellite, designed to study connections between the ionospheric disturbances and earthquakes. Chinese researchers published papers examining correlations between ionospheric heating and seismic activity. As evidence mounted, a pattern emerged. Major earthquakes were occurring where HAARP's energy had been detected hours earlier. But the most disturbing application of this technology had nothing to do with the sky above us or the ground beneath our feet. HAARP's technology could penetrate the ultimate boundary, the human mind.
Oh man. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that they were trying to use it to control brainwaves, but I mean, just like I said, it's in the science, so you could easily, well, not easily, you can probably definitely apply it to changing people's brainwaves and the way they think. I know sometimes you have events that occur where you have like people who sort of like are all en masse doing things that aren't good. Let's just put it like that. And there have been rumors about like that. I can't remember what the name of it. Oh, it's called Astro World. That Travis Scott concert where, you know, you had a bunch of people that got killed tragically in that situation. And there were a lot of people who survived the incident that said that they were playing music that made them feel a certain way and sort of like induced like these feelings of doom and dread inside of some of them. And then other people, it made them angry. So like, it's crazy to think that these type of things exist out there, but obviously they do. And I love this channel for exploring these types of things and allowing me a chance to learn more and then react to it and bring it to you guys as well.
The human brain operates within specific frequency ranges, from about 1 hertz to 40 hertz, depending on how alert you are. These are ELF sounds.
Pop sounds like an elf. We talking Legolas or one of Santa's slaves?
Not elf, ELF.
Oh, my second wife generated ELF sounds. Extremely loud and furious.
That's not what ELF stands for.
Yeah, tell that to a lawyer. After 15 minutes of her ELF, I signed over the keys to my 84 Camaro. Oh, I love that car.
ELF means extremely low frequency. HAARP can generate waves in exactly the same range as human brain waves. When you ask HAARP officials about this, they point out their antenna array doesn't generate ELF waves directly. But when you ask the government questions, you have to be specific. HAARP can't generate ELF waves, that's true. But it can heat the ionosphere in a way that creates ELF waves as a byproduct. Documents show that HAARP generated ELF waves for years. This is concerning because electromagnetic fields can influence brain function. The phenomenon is called frequency following response, or FFR. Dr. Nick Begich, author of Angels Don't Play This HAARP, explains.
It has the ability of affecting the frequency following response, which is where the brain locks onto an external signal, begins to mirror it, and brain chemistry changes.
So even simpler than that is HAARP can control minds.
Absolutely can control in the sense of changing mental function.
Begich is called a conspiracy theorist, but FFR is proven science. And you know who proved it? The US military. In the 1980s, Dr. Michael Persinger conducted research partly funded by the US Navy. He showed that weak electromagnetic fields applied to the temporal lobe could induce altered states, including religious experiences and hallucinations. When exposed to an external frequency, the brain tends to synchronize with it. This is why bright flashing lights can trigger seizures in some people.
Oh, is this why every time I'm in the dentist's office, I suddenly know all the lyrics to It's Raining Men?
I don't think so.
Oh, good. Hallelujah. Amen.
The European Parliament takes this technology seriously. Resolution A4005/1999 specifically mentioned HAARP while expressing concern about manipulative capabilities affecting human health and psychology. The resolution called for transparency regarding HAARP's ethical implications.
Does the United States bill?
I'm guessing the only reason that we don't know more about this now is because they haven't been able to sort of direct it, or at least this is just my thinking. They haven't been able to direct it on an sort of individual or small group level, the they're only able to control it probably in a larger area, so they don't want to, instead of you know, directing these waves at a single individual or maybe a group of 10 people that are all huddled up together, they would be able to direct this energy, or they can only currently direct this energy over a much larger, broader area. So they don't want to do those sorts of things with that. But I don't know exactly what it's called, but I know that the military uses a weapon that directs energy and at a certain frequency towards a group of people, and it can make you turn away from it. I don't know if they said it. I don't think that it was like a burning sensation, or at least that's the feeling that some of the people who got hit with this ray was. But they said that it, you know, it stopped them in their tracks and made them turn around. So they were talking about how it could be used for crowd control. But some of the other people also said that it made them feel like this huge feeling of fear and dread when that beam was sort of directed their way. So I wonder if that's almost a scaled down version of what they're talking about here with HARP.
Military listen to the EU.
No.
Nah.
Because HARP uses the ionosphere, it could influence mental states of people over large areas. It could cause hallucinations, alter emotions, induce seizures, all without their knowledge. HARP officials deny mind control allegations, but the CIA denied researching mind control too. Then MKUltra was exposed and showed the CIA was exploring the exact same technology.
And we all know, well, not we all, a lot of people know about MKUltra. It was the governmental program that learned, that delved into mind control and being able to remotely control the minds of people. So, and then also being able to program them. So you almost have to think like in Marvel terms, the Winter Soldier, how there is a certain video that they made him watch over and over and over again, and then they played certain music in his ears, they played certain sounds in his ears, so that when there were these numbers that were read off to him in a certain sequential order, he would immediately sort of change into the Winter Soldier and follow whatever that directive was that those sound waves had given him. So yeah, it's crazy to see that this is sort of related to that too. And I mean, like I said, I use Marvel as an example, but like that's real life technology that existed in the, you know, the 60s and the 70s.
Other countries were paying attention. In 1998, a Russian military journal
Mind
published
Has No Firewall.
The Mind Has No Firewall. It was later republished by the U.S. Army War College. The article warned the human mind is vulnerable to electromagnetic intrusion.
What the heck was that?
Mind control technology is not science fiction, it's science fact. And as the United States continues to refine its capabilities, other world powers are racing to catch up. The HARP conspiracy theories go back to the 1980s. The story's been covered so much that I was surprised at how many people asked me to do this one. But in researching HARP, I was surprised at how scientifically possible all the theories are. I was also surprised that so much of the science is based on Tesla's work. But how much of this is true? Well, first, HARP is definitely a high-power radio transmitter designed to heat the ionosphere for research.
There's another thing that I love about this channel too, is that at the end, or at least toward the end of the videos, they like to dive into how much of the story that they just gave you was legit and how much of it may not be as legit or was completely fabricated or made up by you know, whoever was telling the story. So yeah, it's almost like they fact check themselves. So that's awesome, and you get to see the other side of, or the more skeptical side of, some of the stories that they report on. So I really love that about this channel.
The facility is real. It operates. It conducts legitimate scientific experiments. These are facts. Second, defense agencies funded and operated HARP for most of its history. The Air Force, Navy, and DARPA don't typically invest hundreds of millions of dollars in purely scientific projects without military applications. Now, this doesn't prove as a weapon, but it suggests HARP has capabilities beyond what's publicly acknowledged.
They're not telling us everything.
Third, the patents that formed HARP's foundation specifically describe weather modification and Earth-penetrating applications. Bernard Eastland, who developed these patents, confirmed their potential military uses before he died in 2007. The more extreme claims about HARP causing specific hurricanes or triggering earthquakes lack definitive proof. Correlations exist between HARP operations and certain disasters, but correlation isn't causation. Earthquakes and severe weather existed long before HARP.
Yeah, that's why you need more historical data on certain things like that, like the earthquakes and stuff that were caused and saying that they were around the same time where HARP was triggered. You have to go back and look through history and see if there were natural disasters pre-HARP implementation that created the same sort of measurable numbers in the ionosphere and stuff as well. So if you're able to figure that out and see that, like, those same atmospheric conditions existed before HARP as well, then that sort of invalidates all of your conspiracy theory that it was HARP. It's more so just something that's naturally occurring, or it could be HARP, but it isn't something that you're going to be able to prove conclusively.
The facility's 3.6 million watts seems too low to directly cause major weather events or earthquakes, but scientists confirm weather systems are chaotic enough that small targeted inputs could have major effects. Claims about mind control also can't be proven, but the science of electromagnetic influence on brain function is real and well documented. HARP generates frequencies that overlap with human brainwaves, but the signal reaching populated areas would probably be too weak to have any noticeable effects. Maybe. Probably. In 2015, HARP ownership transferred from the military to the University of Alaska Fairbanks.
The University of Alaska Fairbanks is preparing to take control of the High-Frequency Active Auroral Program, more commonly known as HARP, next month.
Officials called this a move toward transparency. Critics saw it as rebranding a military weapon as an academic resource.
Right.
The university now allows public tours and independent researchers, but former DARPA employees have said the most sensitive equipment was removed before the handover.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they're only going to show you what they want to show you. If they have more stuff there, I'm sure there are areas that are completely off limits that people aren't able to go to. So, yeah, that's definitely fishy that they gave it up. But on top of that, they only gave it up because they aren't afraid of people knowing about what's there. So obviously they've moved their research to some other area that people do not have knowledge of.
What remains is only a fraction of HARP's capabilities. So is HARP an innocent research project or a doomsday device? Well, the truth is probably somewhere in between. Like many advanced technologies, it exists where scientific research overlaps with potential military use. What makes HARP concerning isn't what we know, but what remains classified.
Like certain pharmaceutical trial documents that they want sealed for 75 years.
Despite many Freedom of Information requests, significant portions of HARP's operational history and technical capabilities remain redacted or withheld. This continued secrecy, decades after HARP was built, will continue to fuel speculation. In many ways, HARP represents our species' growing capacity to affect natural systems on a planetary scale. Whether through climate change, geoengineering, or manipulating the ionosphere, humanity can alter Earth's basic systems, often without fully understanding the consequences.
How dare you! Oh, you didn't see that coming?
HARP also says something about power. The power structure that most affects our lives remains hidden. We're told not to worry. We're told the military is looking out for us. But history teaches a different lesson. From Project MK Ultra to Operation Northwoods, Secrecy rarely serves the public good. The technology Tesla dreamed would liberate humanity now sits behind barbed wire fences, operated by organizations with classified budgets and limited oversight. Tesla's dream wasn't just about free energy, it was about free knowledge. The military took both. So, what can we do? Question everything, research these facilities, support independent monitoring, demand transparency. Because as the skies above us become weaponized, we can't remain silent. To those in power, our silence is interpreted as only one thing: consent.
Man. Wow. So yeah, that was a real good one, man. That was a real good one. You know, it's tough to be presented with like these floods of information that the Y Files is known for, and not take something from it. And you know, at the end of the videos, a lot of times they present the information and just sort of leave it at that. But then I've noticed that you know, as time has gone on, they've been adding the sort of opinion piece at the end of it as well too. And I think that the one thing that they try to get out almost every time is that, you know, you should question these things. Just because the information is presented to you in one fashion does not mean that you need to accept it. That doesn't mean that you need to blindly turn against it. But you know, you can do your own research. That's one of the things that we're able to do now as a people, that we've come to a point where we have information at our fingertips and we can do a lot of our own research. That does not mean that we should just blindly trust our own research as opposed to the research that has been performed by professionals. You know, there's a lot of people out there who think that they are just as informed about certain things as professionals are, and that isn't the case. But you do have the opportunity to go out there and research and study things on your own. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with questioning anything. Everything should be questioned. Everything should have to be proven. You shouldn't just accept things. But there are a lot of people who sort of take that the entirely the wrong way and question everything, and also actively protest everything too. So like that's where you need to be able to draw the line to some extent. Nothing wrong with questioning. You should always question everything, but once you do question that, make sure that you make the best informed decision that you can. And I think a lot of times that people who study things that are considered conspiracy theories are sort of like frowned upon and sort of shunned because of that. And just because you like to study things and just because you like to learn things does not mean that you need to necessarily run with them. But you should study things. You should try to learn as much as you can. That's why I watch stuff like this. I'm not gonna go and immediately start, you know, preaching about HARP to my friends and telling them that, oh, it's raining today, it must be HARP targeting this area. Like, no, I'm not gonna do anything like that. But there's nothing wrong with gaining knowledge, and I feel like channels like this help you to gain knowledge, and that's why it's one of my favorites. That's why I am glad that you were able to check this out today. Like I said, it was a little quick live stream that I wanted to do. It was more so to test out this vertical streaming method that I got going on now, and seemed like it worked. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully, if you are watching right now and you like the content, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment below, and also hit that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time we go live moving forward. Tons of content on this channel, wide-ranging content. We talk about different TV shows, different YouTube channels, books, movies, like everything. It's called Watch Stuff With Us for a reason, because we like to come on, present things, and then have you guys hang out with us while we watch it and talk about it. So hopefully you enjoy the channel, hopefully you enjoy the video, and as I always say when I end these videos, I will see you when I see you. Peace.